And Zoom, of course, reaches out to third-party providers like YouTube and said, if you stay in my environment, we'll have an API to link to YouTube. And it works perfectly. So always in this business, what do you have to do? You have to check, recheck, and check. And anything that works may not work the next day. We have to rely on it. That's why, all these AI agents doing automation, I think is it's a whole can of worms there too. Because once it worked last week or a month ago, can you understand that it may not work tomorrow? And a lot of these flows and systems we're not responsible for. There's so many third-party vendors, and even when they make corrections or additions or they take out certain features, they usually never announce it. And even if they did announce it, who can keep track of it? So I think there will always be so many humans involved that it's not around the corner that everything will be automated so quickly, and there'll be so many agents to keep track of. I'm sure there's going to be a whole industry of basically AI auditing, AI agents. Lily, you remember in accounting, they have auditing. Well, it's basically, do they teach you about auditing AI systems? No, you know what I mean? But that's going to be a whole field of how do you know what's happening and just the dangers of all those agents. What havoc could they produce? So that is it. Okay. So welcome everybody. I'm glad that you're taking your time in the evening to join me. And let me just talk about the last few meters that we have to run. So Wednesday, August is what?
The exam
Exam. Where is it?
at the
It's in
polytechnic.
person, right? First of all, it's
Yeah.
in person. If you come online, you're not going to find me. Okay. So it is in person and you'll find it. And it's in the School of Business and it's on the second floor in the lab in 204. This class, as we know, we're on slow time. For the exam, you need to be 10 minutes ahead of time. So this class is supposed to start at 6:35. We're now at 6:48, right? We will be starting at 6:35 for our exam. You have a allotted amount of time, whether you have additional time or not allocated to you, but you come late, those minutes take off of your exam. And why waste it, right? August, why get those? Maybe you can finish in 20 minutes, maybe. Why not have at least the opportunity to have the maximum amount of time you have? So you have that. The other part is right after Wednesday. Monday, we give our presentation. Each group gives a presentation for 5 minutes. And I'm going to go over it tonight, but we're going to start with group one. So Lily, if you can be so kind, who's in group one in this class?
Let me check.
Give me who's in group one and group two.
In group one, we have Jake Dans, Kai, Kat, and Max. And then group two, we have Isabella, Alonso, Kiko, and Ludovica.
Okay. So we will start at 6:35, and basically then group one will be on stage presenting. You got it? And right after they finish, after their 5 minutes, and I give my 2-minute feedback with Lily, the next group is on. And also, we will spotlight you. All team members need to be here on Wednesday. You know how sometimes people on Monday. So all members will be here. So we will be doing that, and I'll give you feedback. And then we'll talk about the next step is after you get my feedback, there will not be an additional exam, but rather by May 1st, you will be submitting your final group project. So let me share my screen and I'll talk about it. And then I'll answer any of your questions. And then we'll do what Kat was suggesting, is we'll spend time reviewing the exam.
Professor,
Yes.
what would be due May 1st if we're presenting to you
Okay,
on
I'm
April
gonna
20th?
I'm gonna go over that, okay? I'll be happy to go over that. But thank you for asking. Let me just make sure. First of all, Kat, do you see my screen? I want to make sure that I'm sharing.
Yeah, I see it.
What do you see?
Right now I just see the Zoom on YouTube.
Okay, so we know Zoom on YouTube is recording, and we see myself in the left-hand corner and Lily's right by my side. Okay, we got that. So let's go to our regular sessions, right? And let's go to our what's due. And I'll talk about what is the difference and what's happening. Okay, so we know, right, August, we know that exam 2, April 22nd, and you see here, August, we know where the room number is, okay? And it's the same format. Here is your review guide that we've talked about before with listed the open-ended questions plus the chapters. It'll be all the new chapters that we've done since the final exam, plus I'm adding chapters 4 and 5, which are the security and the data, which are essential really for doing NEI or additional work. I think that's important to have. That will be on the exam. And as a reminder, we'll have a sign out sheet where you need to bring your ID card, cane, or government. You need to bring your laptop as a backup with an updated version of respondents. You need to arrive at 6:25. Why in this case? In order for us to start at 6:35. If you have one additional question at 6:25, you're welcome to ask me, but I like to start on time so you get the maximum amount of time. If you revive late, these are issues here. The exam ends at 7:50 unless you have approved extra time. And as we said before, if you finish early, you can say goodbye. Also, what I've asked, and I discussed it with Lily, is if you have any questions about your final project after you finish the exam, you can ask one of us, and we can go to another little room there and look at your project.
Professor, could you repeat real quick, just to make sure that I'm correct, the chapters that we're doing for the exam, all of them, just to make sure that I'm right, like
If you
did that.
open up the study guide,
yeah,
see up here, what does it say?
yeah, 4, 5, and then 3 to like tech guide 3, yeah, okay.
Right there. So it's listed right there on your tech guide study guide. And you can see this, Ludovica, you see on these multiple
Yeah.
choice questions, you see the based by chapters.
Yes, that I said, okay.
Okay, so that's a perfect, thank you for asking that question. You have that right there. Okay? Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Perfect. Okay, we got this. We have this. I'm gonna just, what am I doing here? Let me just close this one. We have that review. Okay, everybody understand what's on it? August, you understand what chapters? You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, once we finish this, that's on Wednesday. On Monday, April 27th, that's our last day of class. You see that, Kat? That's our last day of class on the 27th. And what I'm doing is you're going to be giving a final project in class presentation. Since I have so many groups, I want to be able to cover all the groups and give you feedback on it. So basically, if you look at this in class, if you look in the audit assignment instructions, you will see final project in class presentation to the professor. What are the guidelines? all your team members must be at this presentation. Attendance is required, and you need to prepare for a short presentation, 5-minute presentation, and I will have 2-minute feedback. And Lily or another of our teaching assistants in training will have a time clock available, and we will be able to see the time that we can adhere to it. The goal here is in 5 minutes, what you need to present to me is to show me that the goal is that your website is working properly. You have showcased all your work. You want to ensure your AI caller number works and it's posted on the top of your website, on the bottom of your website. You want to name it as an AI voice agent or AI caller, some way in which they know they can call that number and they know they will be speaking to an AI agent, and that they know that you have created that. You will also, when you call that number, you want to have somebody have their phone and speaker on and dial that number and ask it, for instance, questions as what is this company about, right? What's their mission? Who's on their team, to show that it actually works. You want to ensure your website looks good, that it also looks good on mobile. You want to make sure, and this is everybody in your group should make sure that all the links work properly, that your social media that you have on your website all work, that they're not, something may work on somebody's website that did it, but it doesn't work on others. So each of you in your group are responsible to check all the links. It shouldn't be just one person checking the links, but it should be all. Your creating your slideshow should be not appearing as if this is BTE210 section K project, but rather your company name, the URL, your mission statement, your audience, your team members, your services, your apps, your AI caller. And your last slide will be a contribution slide. It will list each person's name and the contributions they made to this project. And you'll present it for feedback. So if you go to the audit area, and I go to assignment groups, of course, we've checked this before. Each of your groups should have your URL at the bottom here. Plus, you should have your group here. And in your group, under your final project, you should have then, under your final project, you should have your slides. When you're presenting, your slides should be up and running. So when you share your screen, you're not spending 3 minutes looking for your slides and seeing where your slides are or who's going to present. You need to rehearse this, and you may, since it's a short period of time, you may decide to have just one person in your group going through the major work. And let me just do this. Let me open this in a new tab. And this was by Lily's group a while back. So notice it doesn't say anything about BTE210, and you can make it however you want, how creative you want. You can use AI with it to create, but you need to have your human abilities as well to look at this. And you see here, ready to launch your report. She has her team. She has the mission. She has her social media. All of these social media that you're going to use should be incorporated in your website. And you should be able to click this. And when you click, you should be able to be going to X and and it should be showcasing your company, not Wix, because by default, a lot of this social media is demonstrating to Wix, of course. Then your services, here she's showing her services and webinars, peer support forum, 24/7 call support. Here are her support tools and services. Here's her SEO dashboard. You can look at all of this. Here's her VAPI dashboard. And this is the last slide. This last slide, you can have one person go up to this last slide. This was slide 8. Slide 9, everyone in your group will be speaking about what they did, how everyone contributed. So Lily spoke first, and then it was Soren, Pavi, and whoever else. This everyone will speak about, and that is it. I will be giving my 2 minutes. Sometimes I will be interspersing my 2-minute feedback to you. So I may, when they're talking about it, I may tell you right there when you're spending the mission. What I would also add, and Lily's URL has expired, so she didn't have it. So what I'm going to
It's
tell
there
Lily,
now, Dr. Rush. Click
oh,
on
it
it.
is?
Yeah,
Perfect.
click on ready to launch your career.
Okay. All right, so let me do it. I'll do it as a slideshow. But ready to launch your career, then you should be able to.
No, you should be able to just click it.
Yeah, I can click it when I do the slideshow. Beautiful. So she has it, and this should be clickable for you, so you immediately can go into it. And basically, you'll spend the majority of your time, even though it's short, talking about this. You want to try to talk about the differences here, especially if I've seen it before. I may just ask you to show me what's new here in terms of the phone numbers and things like that. The VAPI agents, you want to be able to call those AI agent hotlines and be able to do this and check on each of these parts. Questions? Kat, is there any question from the audience or from you?
None from the chat and none from me.
Okay, everybody understand it. Now, the other part that I want to make sure that the question was, well, if we're doing this for you, Dr. Rush, what do I need to do for this final thing on May 1st? What's that going to be about? And when I look at this, is the idea that I'm giving you till May 1st. You can turn it in earlier, but once I give you feedback, I give you permission to enhance it based on my feedback, or based on even that you say, hey, we got a couple new ideas too, or we want to get this to work. Whatever it is, I'm giving you to May 1st. And in May 1st, what I want, 5 minutes is really too short to do it. I want you to record a 10-minute session. And in the 10-minute session, I don't want just one person to record. I want your whole group to be involved. And what I want is in the beginning right here, you can see here, this is my URL, and have it in this format. The URL, have your VAPI, and I would call it AI agent, right? Or VAPI, it's okay for us. And this is the phone number. The corrections you made since feedback from the professor, you may be able just right there to say none. We liked how it is, or we didn't have time, or whatever it is. And then I want you to you'll do a team recording, final recording. So you want to state here, who were the team members present? I expect all team members to be present, but we're just affirming that which team members were there. And of course, this is just like you've done for other assignments. You want to put the final Zoom recording. And of course, that recording to the cloud has no password. And of course, it's not an MP4. It is basically just that link. You will have your final YouTube link, live stream link right there. You'll have your AI companion summary, and you'll have your final group presentation PowerPoint attached within this folder. You got it, Kat? So this is when people were asking, what is the final project? And your final presentation should be about 10 minutes. Everyone should be involved. And I want you to present it not to me as Dr. Rush, you've seen this already, but rather these are a group of investors and we're presenting our slide deck to them, maybe in the hopes that maybe we'll get some funding. But it's basically, you'll be looking at it that way. And then also after your presentation, we will be putting it in your regular section, a peer review, where everyone before May 1st will also be having a document where they're uploaded, evaluating themselves and each member of their group, and there will be space to, in detail, talk about your group interactions and your group projects. And what I expect is an accurate, mature evaluation on your group project as a whole, your individual assignments, and everyone else that's done assignments. I've had in the past where, people say, oh, everybody, it's 100%, no problems. Everybody did the very best they could and everybody contributed equally. And it was the best project since sliced bread. And I will take that with a grain of salt because I know that it is not accurate. So you need to have an accurate evaluation, a mature evaluation, and also a part of how could this group and project be improved. And that will be sent out and given to you where when you do your group presentations, you will have a spot in which to do after that your peer review and also do your final peer recording when everything is in tip-top shape, the best you could do, and do it formally. You won't have people laying on their beds, right? And halfway sleeping. This will look like in the recording, it will look like a beefed up, great presentation to a group of investors that are high energy and mature. Okay? So who was asking about the final project and how is that different, the final recording different from what we're presenting in class?
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
Perfect. You understand that, Isabella? So it's something, and why do I do it, Isabella? So after this class, when people say, oh, do you know anything about AI? You say, hey, go ahead. This is my URL, right? This is my Zoom recording. Here is my formal recording of what I can do, right? You can take, Isabel, the beauty is you can take it with you.
Right.
And plus we will evaluate it. That's why I wanted to be the best, the very best you can do, because this is something that you can take with you. And then you say, I know in advance what I've done now with my AI agents, so forth, there'll always be improvements, but this is something that I can have. Everybody with me? Clear? Great. Okay. Any other comments before we go to Kahoot? Lily, any words of wisdom?
Don't feel like the revised version of the recording is optional. You should definitely do it. It's a part of your project.
Yeah, it's a main part of your project because
Yeah.
there's no.
I just want to make sure
Yeah, then it's not an extra.
it's
That is your final project. The final recording of everybody. Yeah, and there's not like, oh, that's nice to have. That is essential. That is required, and it required to be a very, and you want to discuss it beforehand what you're going to discover rather than us rambling around and say I don't even know what we're covering. Who wants to talk next? You should know exactly what it appears, and you want to be able to show off everything that you've done on your website, and all the things that you've done in terms of the caller ID, your recordings. And you don't want to spend a long time, but everything should be tried out. your podcast, you can do, 30 seconds or a minute. You don't want to do all 10 minutes of it, but you want to actually show, and the purpose of it. That it's a podcast that it's generated by AI and we can generate it for you, and it can vary and we can change it. Be upbeat about it, what you can do. Sell yourself and sell your services. That's what I'm saying. You got it, Isabella? It's basically you selling yourself and your group and what you can offer somebody. And say we'll
Yeah.
work together. We'll work together as we can do it for you, or we can teach you how to do a lot of these things.
I
like you were
understand.
doing before. Okay, perfect. Okay, so Lily has graciously put together a Kahoot. I think it's much better than the first Kahoot, Lily, in my humble opinion. So let's go on. We'll use this for possibly attendance. So everybody needs, and when you're signing on, what I'd like you to do is when you sign on, don't put your first name, put your first name and last name, right?
Oh, do I have to sign in?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Okay, then we'll
But-
open it on a different one. Welcome
Okay.
to my computer.
Okay, but you need to give them where they need to sign in. Right?
Yeah, that's different though.
Okay.
And I'll send out the Kahoot link tomorrow morning.
Okay, great.
You guys can look at it.
Okay, this is what we need. Okay, so everybody quickly sign in. Put your first name and your last name. People, when they do like party games and stuff, they're used to just putting in their name. And I have 28 students here. How many students do we have signed up, Lily?
27. We need
Okay.
one more.
One more. Okay, so we're gonna give 20 seconds for one more person. And if they don't sign in. So you decide when to start. If there's somebody that hasn't signed in, you unmic yourself, we'll give you a chance. Otherwise, we're ready to go.
Well, now it's 26.
We're losing people as we go.
But they can join as we play.
Okay, all right.
So might as well start.
Yeah, let's start because we have 30 questions to go over. Three, two, one. Okay. Machine learning systems often use what to learn from data. So remember, this was the machine learning, so it always had to learn. And we wanted from what data. So which of these use machine learning? Okay, so it's neural nets. So it's interesting. So this is a good question to go over, right, Lily? So we got the majority saying expert systems. Okay, the difference between expert systems and neural networks. Expert systems takes knowledge from a expert, let's say I'm the expert, takes my knowledge, and let's say I'm a tax accountant for offshore, takes my expertise, puts it into a system where a non-expert can use it. There's no machine learning, and it doesn't get better as time goes on. Neural nets or neural networks are systems that try to emulate our brains, and in emulating our brains tries to improve. And what they do is you can think about it as almost variables. You can think about it as almost like independent variables, that each of those variables for prediction have weights to it. And as it tries to get better, and under supervised learning, it can get better, and you change the weights. So let's say we had for admissions, the admissions officer wanted to do a neural net to basically have machine learning to get better, successful candidates. So it may be in the beginning, we may say it's where they come from, and we find out that really doesn't make for a successful student, and we may give less weight to that and more weight to their GPA or extracurricular activities. Okay, go next. Okay, which of the following is a characteristic of AI? And I would put AI as it applies to our readings. So in our readings, and like I said, AI is getting better and better, even through our readings here and through the textbook. It has gotten even better every month. You can see it that we always have to make changes. So in this case, even though you can see here, based on the tables and the readings in the book, they call it that AI has low creativity. Even though I can give you examples where it's becoming more creative. So in this case, low creativity based on the readings in the book. Next. Okay, with the model, cloud computing providers offer remotely accessible servers, networks, and storage capabilities. And this is as a server. So you should pay attention to what are servers, network, and storage capacity. Is it infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service? And in this case, it is infrastructure as a service. Why? Because infrastructure deals with, I want to buy a server. Let's say Isabella and I went into business and we say, we need a server. And then I say, we're going to buy 5 servers. And I say, and Isabella said, you're crazy. Let's just do cloud computing and we can rent those servers. Right, Isabella? So these are servers, networks, and later on we want more storage. Instead of buying it, we can rent it with cloud computing as infrastructure as a service. You got it? Next. See why they're good questions, Lily? A byte is the smallest unit of data a computer can process. You remember we talked about the hierarchy of data, and the lowest amount is really on and off, zeros and ones, right? So it's false because a bit is the smallest unit of data of those zeros and ones. Next. Analytics examines recent and historical data to detect patterns and predict future outcomes of trends. Remember we talked about analytics. Here the idea is I'm going to take data from the past and recent and predict future outcomes and trends. So already I know in this case, it must be predictive. Next. Data means all applications are able to access the same data, which is by databases. So how I would look at questions, sometimes they're confusing. I'd look at, okay, it's either isolation or independence. So it means all applications are access the same data. Well, already I know that it's what? It's going to be independence, right? And then which is maximized by databases. Next. Big data primarily deals with what kind of data. And basically it can be structured. Structure is I have all my fields and my records. It's like my grade book, right? Semi-structures is some of it may be qualitative. Unstructured could be like videos. If I have that big data, what kind of data does it deal with? And it's all of the above. Next. Cyber criminals. You know that they basically are doing something they're not supposed to do over the internet, right? And what I would do in questions like that is take out the distractors, take out those outliers that I know it couldn't possibly be, and then I can target on something that I can think about. But what do they target on? Next. Phishing, right? We always see it in emails, right? The university always tells us about there's something phishing going on, right, in our emails. It is example of what? And then basically we can think about it through our emails and what are they attacking? Great, software attack. Next. What is the possibility that the system will be harmed by a threat? Well, even if I do this, I know that threat is not a good answer, right? Because it's something that's a possibility that the system will be harmed by a threat. So already I can grab that. So I need to know what is the difference between a threat, an exposure, and a vulnerability, right? Or what is security? And I know it's vulnerability, right? Where am I vulnerable? Where is my weakness? Right? Next. Cloud computing, which means a customer can access, and here I would underline customer, can access needed computing resources automatically. So it's centered on the customer. And what's so unique about cloud computing that I can set that up? And it provides on-demand self-services. That's the whole idea, because it's here, the customer can access needed computing. The customer can access it because it's on-demand self-service. I can say I want more RAM. I can say I want bigger storage capacity. I want more CPUs. So that is the best answer. Provides on-demand self-service. Next. Software as a service is a type of what kind of computing? Software as a service is basically, you can think about what is its type of computing. It is basically in a way that it has some kind of utilitarian function to it. So it's utility. Next. And these knots are a little confusing. Not a benefit of virtualizations. I always get confused on those not questions, right? What is not a benefit from it? The lower variable cost, the scalability, the lower fixed costs, right? If I think about it here, I don't have to purchase these, so it's redundancy. So I would look at questions like that. Look at the distractors as well. And say, does this make sense? Put that word into the sentence. Next. public clouds, right? We use public clouds all the time ourselves. So public clouds then, basically, how do we access them? Good. Next. We access through the internet. Remember, if it's in the cloud, it's through the internet. Remember, we talked about local processing, right? That wouldn't be through the internet. Okay. Infrastructure services, platform as a service, software as a service is a shift from what kind of an expense, which means IT is what? So basically, I'm not having to physically buy the hardware and remain as that's fixed, but rather variable, right? This is the key here versus 12 then is that operating to a capital is capital to an operating, right, expense. Good. Next. 16. Which of the following is a characteristic of natural intelligence? By the reading. So in this case, it's by the reading. Which of the following is a characteristic of natural intelligence? You remember the readings were telling me low creativity for AI. So I'm going to remove that. And then difficult and expensive to duplicate and disseminate knowledge. If you are trying to get a tax accountant in high net worth people in the state of New York, how do you get all of his or her knowledge? That's going to be difficult and expensive to disseminate and to duplicate. Next. Expert systems replace human experts by applying expertise in what? So it's basically can and cannot, general or specific. So our expertise trying to basically expertise is a narrow area or a general area. Can they replace humans or cannot? So in this case, can and its specific domain. Next. And a lot of this is via the readings. And expert systems is composed of facts and rules. Where do they store those facts and rules? And once you figure that out, it's obvious that they have to store it. And a lot of times we said, it's some kind of way. And what am I trying to get out of the expert? Trying to get knowledge, right? Okay. Neural networks, we talked about that, emulate the brain, is usually involved in what? Large or small, real time or parallel. So in this case, do you think it's a large number of processors? And do you think it's going to be in parallel or real time? And what is parallel processing? In this case, parallel processing is computing where I have like a 2-lane highway that I can do more processing because my computer then will process it. All those AI models where, they need all these data centers, they're using huge number of parallel processing. When I have one CPU, many times I can just do one line of processing. But if I have many lanes, that's parallel processing where I can compute in larger numbers. And in neural networks, I need a lot of processing power. So large and parallel. Next. Intelligent agents, often used behind the scenes. So the idea here is fuzzy logic. Fuzzy logic means it's not exact. So if I say I'm going to a bar and I want somebody tall, I'm looking for somebody tall. Maybe for me, Lily, it may be 5'6", right? For somebody else, it may be 6 foot. So fuzzy logic means that it's not one exact number, that it's a range of number. It's kind of like fuzzy, just like the term works. And intelligent agents often use then those expert systems and fuzzy logic behind the scenes. Next. Okay, are often populated with data from source automation technologies such as card scanners. Think about it. You remember I talked about Publix or CVS, that we do our own scanning with what? A barcode scanner. And what is that done is that's an event, right? That what do we basically talk about it? Is TPS stands for transaction process systems. Right, that we use an ERP is for the whole system. I'm not basically using a scanner to scan every minute that I teach, right? But I go to CVS, and that transaction processing system scans basically each item that I do as a transaction. Next. Which of the following is not a requirement of TPSs, transaction processing systems, and which is not a requirement? Must record results accurately? How could it not, right? I know that that's not a good one because it's a not. Must ensure overlapping updates can occur. Okay. Have efficiency handle large variations. Yeah. So everybody got that almost. Must maximize downtime. So I do eliminations too, because some of these questions, the multiple choice. That's the best way to do it. Next. Reports are produced at scheduled intervals. So it has an exact time that I'm doing these all the time reports, right? Sometimes what I'm going to do, I'm not going to just do it haphazardly. It has basically every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, yearly, semi-annually, has scheduled intervals for these reports. So it's routine. Exception reports, just the exact opposite, right? So exception reports then what is going to be those over 98, right? Include only information that falls outside certain threshold. I make a threshold. I want everybody above 90 and below 50 on the exam. Give me exceptions. Those are really do well, and those that need more problems that I need to address. Next. ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, address information silos by. What do we want? We have this entire enterprise, and what did I used to have? Silos mean they're isolated. Silos means that I can't gain access as an entire organization. So how does ERP help me? That's what an information silo is, that I keep my data together. So in this case, integrating functional areas. It's not reducing the amount of data, but rather I want everybody to gain access to the data they need, and it may be in different functional areas. Next. How are we doing here? Okay, we're coming down to the end. Business analytics answers what question? So its question is basically, what do I want? What is the question that I want to help me make better decisions? I want to be business analytics. It may give me also, right, that we talked about the prescription, right? So basically, it's what is best or worst that could happen. Next. And data mining helps explain. So what is data mining is? Data mining is going to try to look at insights of my data. Data mining, I'm going to be looking for the patterns of my data. It's almost thinking about it like mining. Instead of mining for gold, I'm mining for a data that as a human I wouldn't see. So it's going to be, in this case, it's going to be why it happened. Next. And 28. Multidimensional analysis is also called what? In multidimensional analysis, in a regular spreadsheet, when I can basically have two dimensions, it's usually like a regular spreadsheet. But if I can drill down and get in more dimensions there, I can drill down or drill up. What is that called? And that is called online analytical processing. A lot of times pivot table is an example of online analytical processing. Next. In the past, business intelligence, or BI, was used to support whom in the organization. And this is in the past, meaning when they brought out BI was like the best thing since sliced bread when it came out. And they said, hey, it was the beginning of intelligence, the same idea of artificial intelligence. They called it business intelligence. Who's going to need that business intelligence in the organization? Who do we want to cater to in the very beginning? Who makes the decisions is top managers. But later on, it infiltrates to everywhere in the organization. Next. Last but least, which of the following is not a key performance indicator? So which of these would be more difficult to measure? I would look at it that way. And it's product quality, right? Overhead, I can measure, right? Return on investment, I can measure as a KPI. Operational costs, I can measure. Product quality, that's difficult. I can measure the GPA of this of students at this university. I can measure the amount of revenues, right? Their operational costs, their overall, but the product quality, that's difficult to measure, and I'm not going to get it from the KPI. Okay, next, Lily. Okay, 3. Felix. Wow. Who's number 2? Christina. And number 1? Kai. See me after class, after the exam. Okay. So Lily, you'll be posting it tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll post it after class right now.
Okay,
Just the link so
good.
everyone can
And
access.
Kat, did that help?
Yeah, that helped. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions about the exam you want me to cover? Kat, you or anyone else?
Personally, I'm okay.
Personally, okay, and I think everybody's tired, but we got the idea. You got also where the chapters are written, right? I do the same way how I would study, the same way as you got it is through the quizzes, right? And through the study guides. You have the open-ended questions. Something similar like that will appear. There'll be like 2 questions on the open-ended. Be the same kind of format and same number of questions. I think that was I think everybody was able to finish on time. You agree, Kat? That it wasn't like, oh, I couldn't finish. And we got it. So stay with me if you have other questions. And Lily, any words of anything you'd like to say to the class? You'll bring in the sign out sheet, right, for Wednesday. Have them
Yeah,
sign
I'll
up.
bring that.
Anybody that wants us to look at your project, you're welcome to stay after and see that. Otherwise, we'll meet on Wednesday. Otherwise, everybody knows what to do on Monday. And then what to do for the final upload, and that we do not have an exam during the finals week, but rather on May 1st. You can do it before or at that time, upload.
And we already got your attendance with the Kahoot, so we're all
Why
set.
don't you do attendance now
Oh, you
too?
want to do attendance? Okay.
Yeah, do attendance, because that way it'll be listed.
Okay.
Doesn't take much, and that way you don't have to, this way you have to kind of put it back in, and it's more work for you, Lily. You agree? I think so. Give it easy. Let the system do it.
3634 is the code.
Okay. 3664.
No, 3634.
34. Okay.
Oops.
Bye, Professor. Bye, Lily.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
See you all on Wednesday.
Wow, that was really fast. They all left. That was so fast.
He just responded to an email, to a text, and just said sure, and then they. Jesus, let me. Okay.
So
We're still recording. Let me stop the recording.
okay. Yeah,
We should-
and the live.
Yeah.